What's up, TM Nation? As you can see, I have the brand new Canon EOS R50V, and I wanted to give you guys my experience with Panasonic. Can you please focus? Panasonic. Come on, man. See, that's why I don't be using this. Alright fam, so as you can see, I'm back. I really had to go take a break and get my big boy Panasonic GH7 because my G85, which is what I started the video off with, is one of my favorite cameras and one of my first pickups, but when it comes to autofocus, the thing is trash. But now that I'm using a camera that I know will focus, let's try this again. This is the Canon EOS R50V that I've had for a couple of days now. I put it through all of my normal testing, and one thing that I can say is before I picked this camera up, I had not purchased a Canon camera for at least 15 years. Before I picked up the R50V, I had been using my Sony E10 II for all of my talking head style shots for the past 4 to 5 months. And this video is gonna be from the perspective of a creator that needs a camera that's gonna sit on a tripod that has excellent autofocus for product shots and face tracking, as well as the ability to record in 4K at higher frame rates for extended periods of time without overheating, which is one of the main reasons why the Sony may be on the chopping block for me, because in all actuality, all of those different areas I just named is the only reason that I need that camera. In addition to the GH7 that you're seeing me through right now, I also have a Panasonic S5 II, and I use both of those for pretty much all of my heavy lifting. So for reasons that I'll talk about a little bit later on in this video, the Canon does a lot of what I need better than the Sony does and costs significantly less at the same time. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's break down what we're working with. First, the Canon EOS R50V comes in at around $656 for the body alone, or $849 with the new 14 to 30mm power zoom lens. Meanwhile, the Sony E10 II is priced at $999 for the body only, or $1099 with the kit lens. I do have recording samples with both cameras in just a moment, but for my personal setups, my E10 II is fitted with the Sony 11mm f1.8 lens, and the Canon is rocking the Sigma 10 to 18mm f2.8. Both cameras are specifically designed for video creators with APS-C sensors, no viewfinders, and fully articulating screens. The Canon rocks a 24 megapixel sensor, whereas you get a 26 with the Sony, but both will shoot 4K up to 30p uncropped, and if you want to shoot them at 4K 60, you can do that with a crop. Now let's talk about how these cameras feel in the hand. The Canon R50V has a really nice solid build quality despite being incredibly lightweight at only 370 grams with both the battery and an SD card installed. To me, it has this cool professional video tool aesthetic to it with a tally lamp on the front and 2 record buttons as well, one on the top and one in the front for better accessibility when you're filming yourself. The E10 is even smaller and can literally fit in your pocket if you needed to, which is pretty impressive. However, that ultra compact size does come with some drawbacks. With it, you get fewer physical controls and a somewhat fiddly handling experience. One thing that I do like about both cameras is that they both feature a fully articulating touchscreen, but the Canon screen is a bit lower resolution, coming in at just over 1,000,000 dots. But that being said, in real world uses, both screens look absolutely fine and are easy for me to see from pretty much any angle. One thing that I do appreciate about the R50V is the fact that you do have a dial on the top and it's full of different video modes. In fact, you only have one mode that is dedicated to still photos. Unfortunately, on the Sony, you do not have a dial at all. You do have a few functions right here, but outside of that, you're pretty limited. So now let's go ahead and get into what really matters with these cameras, and that's going to be the video performance. And this is where the Canon really shines in my opinion. For specs, it can shoot an uncropped 4K at up to 30p, which is downsampled from 6K, and it looks fantastic. It also offers 4K 60 with a 1.5x crop and full HD at up to 120 frames per second for slow motion. What's also really impressive is that you get 10-bit 422 color with Canon Log 3 options, which are seriously advanced features for a camera at this price point. The E10 II also offers 4K at up to 60p and 1080p at up to 120 frames per second too, with 10-bit 422 recording and S-Log 3. So on paper, they're really similar in the recording department, But one area where the Canon pulls ahead for me personally is gonna be in the autofocus performance. The R50V features Canon's excellent dual pixel CMOS autofocus 2 system, which is incredibly reliable and accurate. The Sony's autofocus certainly is good, and I have used it for several months to get the job done without any glaring weaknesses, but it's not quite as confident as what I get with the Canon camera, especially in areas where there is a lot going on in my background, like here in my recording room, where sometimes it does have a habit of focusing on one of the cameras in my background instead of the product that I'm putting in front of the camera or my face. Speaking of autofocus, the Canon camera has a really cool product demo mode that will automatically shift focus to whatever you're holding up in front of the camera. Again, this is great for product reviews and videos like this one because it will automatically shift back to your face when it needs to. And I will say that Sony does have a similar product showcase feature, but in my opinion and experience, Canon's implementation is more reliable. Now, good audio quality is just as important as good video quality, and both cameras have put some thought into this. The R50V does have a 3.5mm microphone input, and it also has a headphone jack that will allow you to monitor your audio, which is something that you didn't get with the original R50. The ZV-E10 features a 3-capsule microphone array on the top that lets you choose between omnidirectional pickup or focusing on sound from in front or behind the camera, but it also comes with a windscreen too, which is a nice touch for outdoor shooting. In my opinion, both cameras can deliver decent audio, but for serious work, you're still gonna want to use an external mic with either one. Now let's talk about two practical concerns for pretty much any camera in this segment, and that's gonna be battery life and overheating. The R50V uses Canon's smaller battery, which is the LPE17, which gave me about 80 minutes of 4K recording, and during that time frame, I didn't get any overheating warnings or have any issues with it turning off. In fact, in more extensive testing, the R50V was able to record for over an hour and 13 minutes of 4K 24p footage before the battery died, and during that time, I got no overheating warnings. I have to say that that's really impressive for a camera of this size. The Sony ZV-E10 on the other hand, uses the larger NPF Z100 batteries, which are definitely an upgrade from the previous model. However, overheating has been a regular and recurring issue for me whenever I used it in 4K 60 or 4K 30. In fact, just last week, it took me about 2 hours to shoot what should have taken me a little over a half an hour because I had to stop on 3 different occasions and let the camera cool down before I could continue. What makes this situation even worse is the fact that they sell a third-party fan that is specifically designed for the ZV-E10 cameras, which I did buy, as you can see, and even when I have this fan at the highest setting, I can only get about 13 minutes of 4K 60 recording before the camera shuts off. Needless to say, this can be extremely annoying, especially if you're in the middle of recording and you have to keep stopping because your camera can't hold up. And I do want to note that it's never terribly hot here in my recording room. It averages between 71 and 73% Fahrenheit, which again, this camera should be able to handle. Now let me go ahead and address some limitations that both cameras share. Neither has in-body image stabilization or IBIS, which can definitely be a drawback if you're going to use them for handheld shooting. The R50V does offer digital stabilization for video, which does work well in conjunction with optical stabilization and compatible lenses like the new 14 to 30mm kit zoom. There are also different levels of stabilization that you can choose from, with the enhanced mode providing the strongest effect but also the largest crop. The Sony also offers digital stabilization with similar trade-offs. In real-world use, I found that both cameras require some form of external stabilization, like a gimbal or something of that nature, for smooth handheld footage. But again, this is not an issue for me or something that I'm gonna need this camera for, because I never bought any of these cameras to use outside while I'm walking or anything like that. They were always intended to be completely stationary on a tripod. Alright fam, so right now I have the Sony ZV-E10 II mounted on my tripod. I'm sitting stationary, as you can see, and this is a normal talking head style video. I am using the built-in microphone on the camera, so let me know what you guys think. How does it look in general? This is in 4K 60, and I just want to see how well it's able to focus on this camera and rack focus back to me. It does have the product shooting mode on. so it should be pretty responsive. But again, how does this also sound? Because like I said, I am using the built-in microphone, and I will switch over to the Canon in just a second. Give me a moment. Alright guys, so here is a vlogging style shot with the Sony ZV-E10 II. I don't have it on a gimbal or anything of that nature, so it's just handheld. Right now what you're seeing is probably what you can expect if you're walking at a normal pace. So how is the stabilization? Is it pretty good? Did you expect better? Let me know. Now I have the EOS R50 mounted to my tripod, so the video that you're seeing and the audio that you're seeing is coming directly from the camera. I don't have any external microphone hooked up to the camera, and this is the out-of-box settings, so this is how you should expect it to look and sound if you take it out of the box and set it up. And like I did with the Sony, I'm going to test the autofocus out now by placing the product in front of it and then moving it to see if it snaps back onto my face. It seems to be doing a pretty good job. Flip it over a little bit, make sure that my face is completely covered, then come back in frame. So what do you guys think? Which one does a better job in your opinion? And here is a vlogging style shot with the Canon now. And again, this is not on a gimbal or anything of that nature. I'm holding it in my left hand and I'm walking at a normal pace. So if you're somebody that likes to do a lot of vlogging and you want something you can take out of the box and use it, this is what you can expect if you don't adjust anything. So now let's go ahead and talk about the overall value proposition, because I think that's where the R50V really stands out. At $656 for the body alone, or $849 with the kit lens, it's significantly more affordable than the Sony ZV-E10 II, which will cost you about $999 for the body alone. Now on my ZV-E10 II, I did not get the kit lens. I actually bought the 11mm f1.8, which was about $550 when I picked it up. So for a similar setup with the Canon camera, you'll come out at least $300 cheaper. With the EOS R50V, you're getting essentially the same video capabilities, 4K 30, 4K 60 with a crop, 10-bit recording, and log profiles. You're also getting better autofocus performance in my opinion, and a camera that's specifically designed for video creation from the ground up. I will say that the Sony does have some advantages though, a slightly higher resolution sensor and a more established lens ecosystem with E-mount, but are those benefits worth an extra $200 to $300? For most creators, I'd say probably not, especially those just starting out or looking to upgrade from a smartphone. I would say that the Canon EOS R50V is the better choice. But I'm not going to completely discount the Sony ZV-E10 II because it's still a good camera for what it offers. If you don't have to regularly shoot at 4K at higher frame rates, or if you're already invested into Sony's ecosystem with your lenses, I would say it's still worth considering. But the bottom line for me is that dollar for dollar, I think that the Canon gives you a lot more bang for your buck. But let me know what you guys think. Have you been eyeing a R50V, or do you own a Sony ZV-E10 II? If you do own one of these, are you thinking about switching over to Canon? If so, let me know what your reasons are. And if I didn't cover something that you're wondering about the R50V, like I said, I have had it for a couple of days. I am going to do some more testing, and if there's a want for it, I will create another video. Just let me know in the comment section and I'll take care of that. But until next time, I appreciate you guys coming through. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that and like before you get on out of here. It definitely helps the channel grow. I will see y'all in the next video. Until then, it's your boy Tecmo and I'm out. Peace.